So I have been fortunate enough to be able to play the pre-alpha 2 for Ashes of Creation. Now I've been playing for the past few weeks and I want to discuss a lot of those things here today. Now these are my major concerns. There are other things, but these are the biggest things that I see, and these are the things that I think you guys are going to experience the most. So let's get into it. So I was one of the later waves of phase 1 testers that got let in. So some of the stuff that other creators got to experience, I didn't necessarily get to experience, but I still saw more than enough. We'll start with the pros first, and then I'll follow that up with the cons. I'll try to path my thoughts the way you'll experience it when you play Ashes of Creation, whenever that is. So starting off, load up the game, you get hit with the character creator. Now, the character creator is actually really dope, but there aren't that many options at the moment. That's to be expected because of where we are in testing. So I don't necessarily have a huge issue with that. I know it'll continue to be expanded upon, so it's really no big deal. My favorite aspect of the character creator though is the sculpting feature. What this does is it takes different areas of your body and it allows you to sculpt them to how you want it. If you remember the stream when they first showcased the character creator, I think that might have been 2 or more than 2 years ago. Yeah, they had shown Asmongold. This is how they did it. They also created Maggie, but this again is how they went about that. Now, obviously, since I know things are continuously getting wiped over and over, I'm probably not gonna put an extreme amount of time into something like this. Come Friday and a true release, maybe even for phase 2 or 3, right, where we're able to play for longer periods of time, sure. And I think most of you will probably go about it the same way as well. From there, you enter the world, you get your first quest. Now, questing for me has gone good and bad, but from what I have played, it has been more buggy than not. If you've been watching any Ashes of Creation content from these past few days of people testing the game, then you probably have already heard about the mounting quest. Now, we had a bug where you could mount someone else's horse. Now, of course, I didn't do that. Well, I actually did, and I left town with it. Whatever. But I took the horse, I got in front of some mobs, and then the horse just despawned. Again, we're gonna have these issues, and I'm fully expecting to have a ton of quests bugging out during the time in phase 1, truly. Listening to some of the other feedback with the world not being as ready at the time of testing was a concern, but I will say that progress is made with each new build that we get. To explain that further, I mean, we'll test on a realm or server as most of you know it. They'll get the feedback, do their touch-ups, and drop an updated realm. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that we're getting night and day changes, but the changes are very impactful. The other day, I got away from a group of mobs only to find out that I died due to the lag and rubber banding of it all. Those issues are still there. When you talk about how the game looks and how it makes you feel, I think the game is completely gorgeous. I really believe that Ashes of Creation is fine-tuning their look over time, and I think through that, this is what's going to give them their unique look or feel in the MMO space. I played on max settings, but you don't need to because you'll still be able to appreciate how the game looks. Going to a deeper level of how the game looks, let's talk about the size. This game is literally massive. Positioning with your nodes, freeholds where you decide to do your content, X, Y, Z, whatever. Every single thing that you can think of should be factored into your location because it is going to take you a ton of time to get there, especially if someone steals your horse. I think with how big the game is as well, it was also super easy for me to remain immersed in the game. There were a few times that I logged on and I got some levels on my own because I really wanted to see what the solo experience or casual experience would be like. Now, a few things on that. You'll be able to level on your own, but not for long. You're going to hit a wall where you need to find other people to play with because that's just the nature of the game. I think for people who are going into this weekend alone, you're probably going to have a terrible time because so many other people are going to be fighting for mobs, tagging them. Corruption is turned up, but people are still going to attack each other. It's just gonna happen. What do I recommend? Bro, I've been saying this for the longest time. You have to find a community, please. When I got on and I played by myself sometimes, it'd be in the middle of the night. And since we're testing, not a ton of people were on. This is not the case after this Friday. People are always going to be on. And I'd argue that you're going to have a harder time than not. Those are most of my pros and cons, but let's chat about some things that I think are the bigger or main issue. We talked about the bugs, lag, questing that needs to be updated. Now, my biggest issue, and I think this will remain my biggest issue during phase 1, if it's not figured out right away, would be the realms or servers. Now, again, I understand that we are in alpha and we're testing. We face some issues with the queue with the fixed amount of people that we have testing now, and not all of them were there at the same time, but issues still persisted. Every time we talk about how many people have signed up for Alpha 2, the number goes up. We all remember Steven saying at that one point, we have 100,000 testers for Alpha 2. And this was before they opened up the Alpha 2 keys again. So we don't even know how many people we truly have. And I hope I'm wrong, truly, but I don't think many of us are going to be able to play as smoothly as we want or at all this weekend. This is the time where everyone finally gets to see what Ashes of Creation looks like. So they're going to be present. Now, I'm trying to do my best in terms of not being super critical because I understand that this is an alpha stage, but I do think that we should have something to take home if that makes sense. And we'll see where everything is this weekend. Another issue that's not really an issue, but can be a foreseeable issue, depending on how you look at it, is the grinding. Steven just said it takes 100 hours to get to level 25. And you're thinking, I like that. And I do as well. But when you're playing, it's a different outlook. This is phase 1, so do we even have enough content to sustain us that long? Probably not. Speaking of content, look man, get used to it now because we're going to be killing mobs and leveling. I said this in a past video that there are other forms of content, but at the heart of it, this is what you're going to be doing. This is a test. Those are super dope, man. I need a time for them to be turned down though, because it's a bit too quick at the moment. The game still has a long way to go, and this pre-Alpha 2 has shown us that. And that's alright. A lot of us have been following the game for years and just waiting until we can get into Vera. With everything that I've seen and how I personally and currently feel about the game, I truly believe that this game is going to be what we've envisioned it to be, right? I think that if they continue on in this way, we could have a quality MMO, truly, masterpiece almost. Here's the thing though, one of Intrepid's biggest enemies is time, and I'm telling you right now, we are still a few years away from this game, and I think that can and will hurt the momentum. They just need to continue on, make a great game, and we have to understand that it possibly will be longer than we anticipated. We can't look at everything being on track because something is going to go wrong, especially with a game of this magnitude. It's just gonna happen. I'd say as you're testing, take note of the things you like, of the things you dislike, and be sure to give that feedback because that's all we can do right now, right? We're testing so we can help the game become a better version of itself. I'm going to be streaming this entire weekend and pretty much every single weekend for phase 1. So if you want to follow me on Twitch, go ahead and do that. I'm going to be dropping a ton of videos here on YouTube. So if you want to subscribe, feel free to. Don't feel the pressure. But besides that, man, we freaking made it. You know what I'm saying? And let's get it, man. Alpha 2 is in 2 days. I'm excited. None of us are going to be able to play because the servers are going to be insane. But all jokes aside, man, it's time. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.